But as a small business owner, where are you spending most of your time? I recently read a really great book by Dan Martel called Buy Back Your Time. And the concept of the book was working out where you're most effective, where you spend your most effective time, and spending your time there. So that the opposite of that is obviously you then need to find out where you're least effective and pass that time on to someone else, pay someone else to look over that stuff. So the easiest way to think about it is a graph. On the vertical axis, we have money and impact. Where do you make the most money? Where do you have the most impact? And on the horizontal, we have passion. Where you're most passionate. So think about the bottom left-hand quadrant is where you're least passionate, where you don't really make money and have very little impact. So this is called the delegate. Straight away, you should delegate this to someone else. So common areas of that would be checking your emails, bookkeeping, all that sort of stuff that, you don't find exciting. You don't wake up in the morning and think, I can't wait to get into work to check my emails, can't wait to get in there and work through the books and update the books and then put in invoices, that sort of stuff. So, and it doesn't really make you money. I mean, it's not really checking your emails unless it's a really important email that's going to make you millions. It's not really making you money. So that's stuff you delegate straight away to someone else. You work out how do I get it. So in the book, Dave Martel believes one of the first people we should hire as a business owner is an executive assistant, someone to take away all that stuff. And then you can focus on where you make the money. So the next one above that is obviously where we do make money, but we're not really passionate about it. So this might be if you're let's say you're a tradie or something and you don't really enjoy being on the tools, then, replace yourself. But you need to work towards that one, work out how you can afford it so you can hire someone to take over, because obviously that makes you money doing the work, but you're not really passionate about it, so pass it on. Then we move up to where you are passionate. So the bottom part of that is passionate. You're really passionate, but it doesn't really make you money. Dan calls that the invest quadrant. So that's sort of where you spend your time. You're not making money, but it could make you money in the future, or it might not even make you money in the future, but it's going to help you make money in other ways. In so much as it could be looking after your health, spending time with your family, keeping fit, that sort of stuff. It's not going to make you money, but it's going to help you continue working, not burn out and lose money. Or it may be spending time investing, learning a new skill, or spending some time on strategy, that sort of stuff that may make you money in the future, a new product that you want to launch in the future. So, and then in the top quadrant is where you really should be spending your time, and that's where you're really passionate and what makes you money. So, a couple of examples. So, it doesn't mean that has to be, obviously building strategy and direction of the business is going to make you lots of money, because if you can really work, managing the team, that sort of stuff. But that may not be your cup of tea. In the tech space, probably the best example of that is Google. In the early days, the two founders of Google realized that they weren't really good at strategy and managing teams and that sort of stuff. So they actually hired a general manager to come in and actually manage Google, where they could keep on focusing on developing the Google algorithm and whatnot. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to work out where you're most passionate and where you make money for it. So it may be working in the strategy and the direction of the business, or it may be actually being on the tools and doing the actual work itself and hiring someone else. And I found that quite enlightening, because I think we tend to think that we all have to be the manager. We all have to be up there doing the strategy, managing the team and all sort of stuff. And and it may be that that's not for you. You may not enjoy that. And it may just be that you need to be you're better off being on the tools and doing the stuff if that's what you like. But also looking at where you're spending a lot of your time that doesn't make you money and you're not passionate about it, and get rid of that stuff straight away. That's just pulling you down, sucking all the life out of you. And you want to be spending your time in areas that you're passionate about and making your money. So another good example they gave in the book was like a lady that, someone that really wanted to make cookies, passionate about making cookies. And said this is quite common what happens in small business. So they start to make cookies, they sell them to a couple of cafes, they start to go to more and more cafes. They grow and they grow. They suddenly they can't keep up, so they bring on 2 more people to help them cook the cookies. As they start to grow and the 3 of them are making cookies, they suddenly realise that they've now got to spend time paying the wages, ordering more stock, invoicing lots of stuff to all the cafes. So the person who started the business, the owner, is now doing all their time doing bookkeeping and stuff that they're not really passionate about. And at the end of the day, they're not going to make more money for the business because it's just sitting there. They would have been better off staying in the cookies, making cookies where they're excited, making new cookies, making better cookies, and hiring someone in to come and do the the bookkeeping and the invoicing and all that sort of stuff, and spending their time where they're passionate. So I think it's a really good way to look at where you're spending your time, and something for you to think about. So think about where you're spending your time, where you can pass on some of that stuff, and where you really have the most effect. The last thing I want to say is I'm now looking at this even just within my team, you know, whereabouts for my staff spending their time that, you know, that makes money for the business. If I can take away the areas that they're spending their time that's not helping generate money for the business and they're not passionate about, and put it to someone else, then I will. So with food for thought, thanks for listening, and I'll see you later.